Good evening, y'all. Get ready to start here in just 1 second. Thanks for being with us on this Victory Tuesday.
Don't sound so excited, bro.
Right? Come on, bruh. Paulie Pooh Brain, right at the top. Loved it. All right, here we go. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday night on behalf of First Amendment Sports. I'm Ken Marangolo, and this is Thank God It's Tuesday, the official Washington football team podcast of First Amendment Sports and Hawks Haven. He's Kevin Ricka.
I'm so excited. No Eagles migrated south this fall, and the Birds got Ron jacked in Landover. What a Tuesday.
He's Tim Strachan.
Once again, no doo-doo talk on this Redskins podcast. Oh, I'm sorry, Washington football team podcast, because they're number one in the East, fellas. They look great. It was a lot of fun. We're talking about a Victory Tuesday right now. King of the East, the Rivera House, had a strong episode one, my boys. It was glorious.
People don't understand how long we've come for T to make a Game of Thrones reference on a Tuesday night show. There was a time, by the way, that when I would talk about it, Kevin would talk about it, and T was just saying, you know what, you guys are nerds. I'm never watching that show. It's terrible. And we're like, all right, fine. And then all of a sudden, in secret, he starts watching Game of Thrones, and he drops a little reference here and there, and he's like waiting for us to pick up on it, and we think he's baiting us. Come to find out, he's binge watching it. He also now thinks it's the greatest show ever, and there he is in year 5, officially, just dropping Game of Thrones references.
Speaking of dropping, he drops one of those. Your khakis just hit the floor with authority.
Yes.
And now it's a Game of Thrones episode all of a sudden. Hey, that was the coolest Sunday we ever could have possibly imagined.
The highlight of the season, in my opinion, maybe other people agree, the highlight of the season last year was the first half of this game. This exact same game. Redskins go up over the Eagles because they were the Redskins back then. 17-0. It was all downhill from there for the next 15 and a half games. In no way, shape, or form, I think, and Greg Martin also, I think he was one of the ones who said it best. And there was just nothing going on. I mean, nothing going on since that moment. The exact opposite happens out of the gate. In this game, we're on the clock, basically. The team that we're watching is about to be on the clock, right from the gun. And went and totally redeemed themselves. I mean, let's start out this way. What's up, T? Go ahead.
I was going to say, listen, if you'd like to talk about, we cover this team on a weekly basis as if we're recapping a show that we're watching on TV. That game right there, it was such a perfect episode 1, right? With all the uncertainty and the things that we didn't know leading up to it, the horrible start, like here we go again. And then, no doubt there's been Ron Rivera has made his stamp on this team and on this organization. And the fact that Dwayne Haskins had a halftime speech that apparently got everybody fired up, and they come out in the second half. And I'm not saying play perfect football,
no,
but they play tough, and they balled in the second half. The defense is absolutely ridiculous. It's legitimate, and Dwayne wasn't perfect, but he was good when he had to be, and so was everybody else on offense. And to win that game like that, the first episode now has all of Redskin Nation and other people going, wait, I can't wait to see what happens next week. It was a perfect episode 1 of the season.
I think we are all in agreement. Finding a way, climbing out of the hole, coming from behind with Ron Rivera at the helm, looking like a Wild West character, getting ready to get into a shootout with the nerves of a thief. I mean, he looked out of the sidelines in the all black with the mask on. He was cool, calm, and collected, and he stole that game from Philadelphia. He's been around the block a few times. It felt different. I did not feel like we were going to let it fall through our fingers. I felt like we were going to seize control and take it over, and that's what happened. There's a fine line between a good coach, a great coach, and an average coach, and we got ourselves a guy. I mean, you can just tell it felt so much different as a fan. I wanted it so bad for Ron and for all of us, but it just made sense that he would win in this fashion, coming back from 17 down. It was. Listen, we got a long way to go. I don't care. I'm celebrating this victory. I know there's a 48-hour rule, but that extends into Tuesday evening.
All the way extends to Tuesday evening in basements all across the country. And yeah, it was a 17-point comeback, but you watch the way Philadelphia got ahead of us. They made some plays. They had good. They have a very good quarterback who I think is officially injured after what Montez Sweat did to him. But
he got the shit kicked out of him.
The offsides penalties that bailed out the Eagles on third down twice in the first half that led to touchdowns. The
3rd and 22.
The late hit from Troy Apke, the hit out of bounds from Landon Collins. The Philadelphia Eagles weren't 17 points better than us. They were just 17 points ahead of us. And to me, that's kind of where my hope was in this game. I was watching and I was like, yeah, they're getting things done, but we're giving them a lot of help. And we haven't played we certainly hadn't played our best on offense.
Ugh.
And we were just missing Carson, like we always have, just missing Carson Wentz. I thought one of the coolest adjustments that was made, and I think there's obviously adjustments that were made. Which
breaking news, halftime adjustments.
It's the most amazing thing ever. But the running through the quarterback instead of running it at the top of the quarterback, because for 5 years we've been running at Carson Wentz's shoulders and chest, and he's been ducking underneath us for 5 years or however long he's been in the league. It's unbelievable, and we miss him every time. And it was clear to me, anyways, that we were running. Someone said, "Stop lowering your head for the hit and just run through the guy." And Bostic did it. Kerrigan did it. Young did it. Montez did it. Montez did it in a way to me that I thought it injured him. I don't think he was the same after he got crumpled by Montez Sweat.
Well, these are different cats that have been smashing into Carson Wentz in years past, and you could tell he felt it. Not just the 8 sacks. He got crushed. He got hit all day long, and it affected his play. He was on fire until he wasn't. It was like 16 rounds. And when we got to the 10th or 11th round, he was feeling it. He didn't want to come back out for 12, 13, and 14.
You're spot on.
Not
only did it affect him, it helped our back end. Look at how much better the back end can play when you got that kind of pressure up front and they're not able to run the ball. Guys can take a little bit of a quicker jump on an out because they know Carson Wentz knows he's got to get rid of that effing ball.
Ain't no pump fake.
And it's coming out. So those
pump
two
fakes is dead.
interceptions, as great plays as those two interceptions were by our DBs, they were equally as great for the play that was up front that helped create those situations. I saw that all day long. Probably the biggest storyline in my eyes on the defensive side, it's not the 8 sacks, it's not the takeaways. It was the way that Ryan Kerrigan can play at 100% on every play now, because he doesn't have to play a full game. A guy with his ability, his intelligence, and his ability to make the most out of every rep he now gets is going to make him a better football player and our team a better football team. That was unbelievable to see that kind of play out of him.
You talk about efficiency. Ryan Kerrigan played 22 of 68 snaps. That's less than a third of the game. He had his 2 sacks, his clincher. Congratulations, Ryan Kerrigan. You earned it. I was proud to see that. We all were. But he had 2 sacks. He had, obviously, 2 tackles for a loss. He had a fumble recovery. This was in 22 plays. Chase Young led the deep line in snaps with 53. It's obvious what these guys think about him, and it's obvious from what we saw. But having him and Montez have Ryan Kerrigan come in fresh, that's nasty, man.
Right.
That's nasty.
Right.
It was even reversed.
There
were times when they were leaving Chase and Montez Sweat on the sideline, and you had Kerrigan and Anderson playing for stretches, and you're still getting it done because you got guys like Ioannidis and Settle in the middle, and that defensive line is a is a classy defensive line.
It's obviously a stay fresh situation because you look at all this. I mean, Chase Young sat out 15 of the 68 snaps. You know, they're trying to keep these guys in. I love it. Ryan Anderson only had 12 snaps. That's okay.
That's right.
You know, that's 67 plays, and he's more of a run guy, and they're throwing the ball. They rushed for 57 yards.
Yep.
We manhandled them, and we had to because they had some injuries, but we did, and that's what happens in this league, and no one feels bad for them. We've had 77 injuries in 2.5 years to starters. So whatever, Philly. It was so enjoyable to watch us manhandle someone defensively. Oh, I was tickled. No expectations, tickled.
Was I making too much of Ryan Kerrigan's style? Because I know he's been asked to do different things in a different scheme, but there was a couple times where, and this is what I said in the six-pack this week, was it looked to me that Kerrigan could have been the first guy to the ball, and instead he tracked to an outlet, block an outlet, or he closed an escape route. And he, in the past, hasn't had the luxury of doing that. He's had to pin his ears back and go.
It's scheme.
It's
like
so
staying in
smarter.
It's like staying in your lanes on special teams.
Yeah.
I saw Chase Young do the same thing on a what they wanted to do a little running back screen. Chase Young recognized it. Instead of going after quarterback, he stopped, held back, and he broke the play up. It wasn't. I think it was a good observation, Ken, but I think it was across the board. That's what they're being taught now. This is the type of defensive play they're being told to play, and they played it to a T.
To a T. I love that, buddy. I don't want to get too technical here, but what I noticed also is we are so much better as a defensive unit reading with our eyes. Not only did you see Chase Young read screen and redirect, I also saw Cameron Curl come in as a rookie, and he sniffed it out, beat the O-lineman to the spot on the outside, and made the tackle in the open field. Landon Collins did it a couple times. Fabian Moreau did it. You're seeing guys making tackles in open field, playing with their eyes, reading screen. Philly's a huge screen team, obviously. They've killed us over the years. They didn't. They didn't. Not in open field. We had short tackles. We had guys reading with their eyes. And when you have a monster front seven, it certainly helps mess up the timing of these screens. You got one guy disrupting things. That's it. And it was a beautiful thing to see. It's what's happened to us for so long. And now we're done taking it. Chase Young has had enough. And now there's a new bully on the block.
I love the fact that we have a guy who the other team is going to have to figure out some way of stopping, but even if they come up with a scheme that slows him down, which I would love to see what that scheme is, you can't win that way against us.
When opposing coaches see the tape on Chase Young splitting that double team and getting a tackle for loss, they just go, "Oh shit!" I mean, what else do you do? You can't dedicate 3 people on one guy. You can't do that.
Nope. And then again, this Redskins defensive line will make you pay for over scheming one of those 4 guys, one of those 5 guys. So on defense, it was everything we could have asked for. Obviously, the 8 sacks, the interceptions. There's stuff to clean up. Obviously, on 3rd and long, you don't want to let their receivers get behind you, which happened. But again, an adjustment. They had a similar situation later in the game, and we had 2 corners deep of Deshaun or Rager, but they were there, and it was like, okay, this is how you're supposed to defend a 3rd and long yardage.
Going to that 3rd safety to defend against their 2 tight ends who killed us early.
Yeah.
That was a huge adjustment, and that happened in the 2nd quarter. Then the halftime adjustments come in, and we're just sitting there going, why are we adjusting? We haven't done this in 20 years. It was so
There's
fun
your
to
game
watch.
plan. Just keep running it. We've
we
given you the
this,
right plays.
Minuski. Yeah, well, it's not my fault. It must be somebody else's.
Yes.
That was so cool to watch. Cameron Curl, the rookie, 7th-round pick, I believe, that was a cornerback in college at Arkansas, started in the SEC as a freshman, is the dude that comes out and gives huge production week 1. Those are the type of guys we also haven't uncovered late in the rounds. We've gotten close here in the last few years, but that guy came out and played meaningful snaps as a rookie with no preseason.
Yeah.
That guy can play, and the tackle he made in the open field, he can tackle.
Yep.
There's a reason why he could play safety, but is athletic enough to play corner. People don't like the hybrid word. I don't care. We're a 4-3, but we need to have some of those guys in nickel and dime. And I believe we played nickel 74% of the time, and that's a mean-ass nickel. I mean, you can rotate who your nickel guy is for coverage or run or Cam Curl dealing with tight ends. This is what we're constructed to do. That's the first time we've run a 4-3 defense since the Joe Gibbs era, I believe. I mean, when's the last time we ran 4-3? And the other team only rushed for 57 yards, and we come away with 8 sacks against the division champs from last year? Hell yeah.
I'll take it. Defense, we're going to be talking a lot about this defense, and we'll probably even get back to them this show. But let's move over on the offensive side of the ball for a moment. It wasn't pretty out of the gate. Right away, third downs. Right away, third and longs. Right away, out of sync, quarterback and receivers. And so it was hard to watch because it was the first taste of the season, and it was a familiar taste. I know every single one of us were thinking the exact same thing when we were watching those first 2 drives on our end on offense, and then of course watching what Philly did when they got the ball. So I don't want to suggest that we turned into an offensive success during this game, because we didn't. It wasn't an offense. The defense won the game. Our defense won the game. But what we did better as the game wore on were the things that if we were able to do that more out of the gate and get things started, because what it looks like, for example, is that obviously, a guy like Haskins getting into a rhythm, he's a rhythm guy. If he starts feeling comfortable and confident, you watch the ball come out of his hands a whole lot better in the right spot. That wasn't happening in the first half. That wasn't happening. To me, it even looked like he wasn't there with the running backs in the passing game initially. He was behind a couple receivers, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't like he became Joe Montana, because he's still at 178 yards, but he found a confidence. And
right, yes, there's a lot to unpack there. Right.
Yep.
There's a lot to unpack on the offensive side of the ball. I think the beginning of the game, you can somewhat chalk a little bit up to the first game, no preseason, first time going game speed. You're going to be behind a receiver, maybe a running back here or there, because it's going a little bit faster than what you're used to in practice. Kevin, you know that. If the timing's not right, even as a quarterback, you're going to be a little bit off because you're expecting him to be there and he's there, right? That's going to be an adjustment in week 1 for anybody. We saw it with Tom Brady, for crying out loud, right? The GOAT. Okay, he didn't have a great day either. What I loved is that no one tanked, right? Haskins didn't tank. He didn't start feeling sorry for himself and sulking. The offense didn't tank. Gibson sort of bounced back a little bit in the first half, right? Got a couple good runs, got the feel for it. We're like, okay, maybe he can do this. That 2-minute drill right before the end of the half where Hopkins misses. I mean, that's where I started saying, all right, this is encouraging, right? They're not falling apart. In the second half, look, Dwayne Haskins himself, I got to believe, is going to say, I got to play better. He was inconsistent. He was not accurate throughout the game. Looking at other quarterbacks in the league, like even Gardner Minshew at one point was 19 for 20. Other people's stats, 25 for 30 or 35 for 43. Like everybody was in, all the other quarterbacks were in that 60% or better completion range. He's got to get better there. However, the probably most silver lining of all of it is he was good when they had to be. He was good when they needed him to be good. That's where I think his Ohio State just sort of, the nature takes over. The beast within him takes over. If he can just do that more consistently, he's going to be a very good quarterback. This is going to be a fun offense to watch, but still got a long way to go before he's there.
Hey, we do have a long way to go, and so does Dwayne, but I get super excited about him, and a lot of people, just hear me out. I want to hear what you guys think. I think he has always idolized Tom Brady and Drew Brees. He's mentioned it many, many times. It's who he's tried to model his game after since he's gotten into this league. I think fellas, he's very mature with his ball placement. I know he had some stinkers. He was 2 of 13. I rewatched all 13 of those throws. I think there was 2 stinkers in that mix. The last one was brutal right before he caught fire and went 14 for 19 to end the game. But there was multiple times that his misses in coverage, and there's a little bit of timing issue that T talked about. The offense is always behind the defense early in the season, and with no preseason, that has to be the case right now. But I think he's pretty wise in his age about his missing, to miss it in the right places. You know, not only did he study those 2 guys I mentioned, but he's been mentored by Alex Smith for the last 2 years. Now, that's a guy that knows where to throw the ball and where not to throughout the scope of a team that is relying on the defense to win the game, and you cannot turn the ball over. T, I like to say if this was golf, Dwayne Haskins missed about 6 or 7 of those first misses on the pro side. You know, and sometimes you got to be a little short, not on the pro side, but you got to be a little short to make it work. I delved into my little situation real quick, and just humor me for 10 seconds. All these quarterbacks have 2 things in common. They were drafted in the first round in the last 5 years, and their last 5 starts. Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Carson Wentz. Not one of those men has a better touchdown to interception ratio in their last 5 starts. Not one of them. Dwayne Haskins has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He does not want to turn the ball over, and he's not going to, and that's what we need. Offensive turnovers will kill this team. And Dwayne Haskins, I think, was playing super, super close to the vest, and then he started feeling it a little bit. But I didn't think he had bad misses. I think he had smart misses with a couple stinkers in that mix.
Yeah,
but listen, he's got a ways to go, but you can see he utilizes that arm strength for good, not evil. Usually those strong-arm guys are a little wild. I think he knows how to harness that power, and it's just going to get better and better with his decision-making.
The turnovers will kill you. And if he can stay away from turnovers, 178 yards is fine the way we play defense.
Yes.
If he doesn't throw the ball away.
That's the name of the game for us.
It's the complete name of the game. But I don't want to put him in a box of having to, pat him on the head and say, get your 178, don't throw a turnover, we got it. Because I think he's better than that.
We're going to need Dontrell Inman to be better. And we're going to need another weapon.
Yep, we're going to need another weapon.
Down the field.
I got the impression that we were going to throw more balls to Antonio Gibson, and I thought maybe that the way that he was out of sync with McKissick in the passing game specifically led me to believe that Gibson's been running those patterns in practice more because he's probably our best guy there.
That's a very fast defense with a great front. Yeah. That's part of it. Timing in the passing game to the running back. I chalked that up to week 1, but I'm a bit of a homer here.
I would love for McKissick. McKissick is a talented athlete, and he's an elite athlete.
And he will produce.
And he will produce. I would love to see Gibson get 2 or 3 more targets in the passing game. I don't. They didn't force anything, so I'll give Scott Turner that. He didn't say, well, we have to throw the ball to Antonio Gibson 2 or 3 more times. So let's just do it. I think that, and you guys are both quarterbacks, so you guys may have already thought this, or maybe this is just wrong. I thought there were a couple times when McKissick or Gibson was swinging out wide and wide open for a pass from Dwayne, and he went away from it. And I thought that should have been opportunity. I thought he had more opportunities to get running backs involved in the passing game. Anyway, and again, we're talking about things you can clean up and build on. I thought we had running backs that were swinging wide. We talk about 21. One guy stays in the block, one guy swings out wide, and hopefully Dwayne's making the read and calling that out. I thought there was 3 or 4 times where it was obvious that the running back was the play, and he kept his eyes and he turned his eyes downfield.
Well, that's where you want the eyes.
I know.
And you work backwards.
I know.
So I know you're dying to get the running backs the ball in the flat. And I'm with you.
Because they're going to make plays.
And this is, and T will tell you this. This is just experience and youth, and we're going to get there. Offense is going to take a little while, fellas. We don't have a lot of star power, but we're going to play a certain brand. And I think T's going to like this brand. It's Ohio State tight ball. It is Big Ten ball, and we have that big strong arm guy. and we're going to run all that misdirection and play action off all of it. And it looks pretty cool to me on paper. And week one, yes, totally rough around the edges. But you see we're trying to head here, and you see why we try to get Amari Cooper $110 million for situational scenarios down the field to open up the running backs in the flat. So,
T, what did you think about the offensive line?
Well, we don't have to talk much about them. They didn't screw up enough for us to really be upset. They played a solid football game. They opened up some holes. They allowed us to run the ball. They allowed Dwayne to get rid of the ball. Dwayne was getting rid of the ball a little bit faster. I think that's a part of this offense, Kev, that's going to help Dwayne a little bit more to get rid of that ball. And I think, again, it's a week one thing, Kevin. I can't really speak to what you were saying. As Kevin says, your eyes are downfield as a quarterback. But when we're watching from TV and you see a back swing out, he just looks open. You don't know what's out there in the flat waiting for him. And when he's out there, he's usually a third or fourth option that you're checked down. Unless it's a call play for him, then in which case Dwayne should be looking at him a lot earlier. So I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is I think that this Scott Turner offense, we have seen maybe 10% of what it can do in week one. It is going to evolve. It is going to, I think, each week have wrinkle after wrinkle. We didn't see any jet sweeps. We didn't see, running backs catching it out of the backfield a whole lot, or receivers running the ball. But I think that that's coming because we have that type of personnel. But as Kevin says, a lot of it is timing. You need to do this stuff at game speed. You can't just throw it all out there on the field in week one and hope it all works out. It looks really, really pretty and nice. Scott Turner is going to put those things in when he feels like they're ready to put that in and they can execute it at a high level on game day. So what's really interesting to me about this offense is how much more they are going to be able to do, especially once they start getting a feel for who does what best. And I think there's a silver lining there. Long way to go. But I was really encouraged at the end of the day about how they fought, how hard they fought. They didn't give up. They didn't tank. They didn't let one mistake become three mistakes. And again, that's Ron Rivera, I think, at the top, setting that tone. And I hate to say it because I always liked Jay. I think we were probably one of the last ones that were still on that Jay wagon saying, he wasn't a problem. But
he wasn't the problem.
What a difference the hell makes.
It's a huge difference, and just to because I want to make sure that you guys know I'm not completely stupid. I'm specifically talking about plays where he threw it into a bad spot that did not result in a completion to somebody else. We'll lay that down. Let me ask you guys this: do you think it inspires a team in any way whatsoever when you are getting your cancer treatment at halftime, or you're getting an IV at halftime, just to be able to stay on the field for your team for the second half? If the head coach is like, guys, I'm going to go over here and just get up to date on my IV and battle this cancer. Could somebody please step up and do this? And thankfully it was Dwayne. But, I mean, are you kidding me?
I kind of feel like cancer should be scared.
Cancer should be freaking scared.
I love what this guy's brought. Isn't it the exact thing that we all knew we needed? Now, we didn't know Rivera had all this, but obviously these guys would do anything for him. We've already seen it. Those guys, I mean, he got the most out of that. That W was so important. Regardless of what our record is, for the culture change to be signified, for that bell to be rung early. Those guys were in that locker room on week one looking at each other going, I believe. The man that got the IV at halftime, that's not afraid to get in my face and drop 50 F-bombs and hug me on my walk out to the car in the parking lot. Coach him hard and hug him later. I love it, Ron Rivera. Oh, thank you for being here. And you get prayers in my family every night battling this horrendous disease. And I feel like you're just 10 times tougher than that thing ever was. So, oh, man.
Yeah, that win, Kevin, that win was professional is what it was. It was a professional win. Anybody else, most other teams never would have come back from 17-0, especially on week one, especially under a new coach, especially after all the crap that this team has been through. They could have given up so easily, at least on the offensive side of the ball, and just not gotten it together. But I think he's a great example of how they got it together. I don't want to be corny. I don't want to sound like it's going to be a Disney movie, Ken, but it almost felt like it was.
Sure.
It was our little version. Week 1. My nerves weren't for the Redskins and what was going to happen badly. My nerves were Ron Rivera deserves this. He has led us to this point. Let's just finish it off for him, please. Then the rest of us can celebrate in that. Let's just do that every week. Finish it off for Rivera. The rest of us will celebrate.
T. Rhett Donnelly said Jaron Christian and Wes Martin wouldn't start for DeMatha.
They had a tough start. There's no doubt about it. They had a tough start, but it was both of their first starts. And I'm going to tell you what, Fletcher Cox is no joke.
No,
I'm not making any excuses.
He's really good.
Yeah, everyone gets paid to play. So I'm not saying, oh, Fletcher Cox is good. I'm saying that was welcome to the NFL, boys. Week 1, deal with this monster. And you know what? They did what the rest of the team did, what Rivera had everyone doing. They dug in. They hung on. I know they played way better in the last 2 quarters than the first 2. But, you can't afford that early. Rhett's right. You can't afford that early in most games and just to get your ass whooped and let the team down. That's 1 sack, 1 fumble. That's a game changer. So that has to be shored up. I think Jaron Christian's going to be fine. I am very worried about our left guard.
I'm very worried about our left guard.
We haven't had a left guard for like 5 years.
No, unfortunately, T, we've had 27 of them in the last 2.5 seasons.
Case in point.
And
yes.
You're right. Not a one of them. Not a one.
I want to ask you guys. I'm not going to be the guy who starts. I mean, I love that we're in first place in the NFC East, and for a week, there's only 16 games. We're a game up on 3 other teams. It's a big deal in that regard.
We didn't beat those dudes in 6 tries. We were 0-6 in the division last year.
I know, and not even. I mean, I hate to overplay a stat that was played while Snyder's face was on the TV, but the fact that the Washington organization was sitting on 500 since, as over the course of time, we hadn't been under 500 since 1975, and Snyder drove us all the way back to that. So it was a good win from a karma standpoint, I guess you could say. But I want to before we move all the way on to talking about the schedule for the coming week, definitely want to say Tressway's name, a player who is absolutely nothing but consistently good for the Washington football team. I mean, he did his job at a very high level in this game and put our defense in some really, really good spots multiple times. And so definitely want a hat tip to him. I mean, Dustin Hopkins, I don't know, he's a kicker who it seems to be feast or famine. You miss that first kick of a season and you're down, and those players know. He's been around long enough to know the feeling of what's coming.
He's Mr. Average in my mind.
And that, to me, for him to come back and make 2 kicks, which mattered, was a big deal because, man, you could lose a kicker like that.
And did you see after the miss,
Ron Rivera, first guy to him. I know it's unbelievable how many ways he impacts the positivity of the organization, Ron Rivera. And
can we just keep saying Ron Rivera over and over again?
Yeah, and we haven't said Jack Del Rio's name, and I think he probably deserves a shout out too, without a doubt.
Yes.
We said Scott Turner. Jack Del Rio is he's worth his weight in gold as far as hey, we've said a lot of terrible defensive coordinators' names on this show in angst and anger and vitriol. That's not the case with Jack Del Rio. All those
57
guys.
yards rushing and 8 sacks.
And again, you said it before, the tackling.
Yes.
The ability for any of the 11 guys on the field. I mean, Jimmy Moreland put his nose in some places that guys his size don't get up after, putting their nose in places.
The people's corner.
The people's
Man,
corner.
Do I love that, dude. What a play. What a play.
I know. It's the way that the way they tackled. I mean, it sounds so simple. You play football to tackle the other guy, and it's the thing that we've done the worst over in times over the last 20 years.
Can I just say this to you?
Yeah.
We outrushed the Eagles. We were 3 for 4 in the red zone. They were 1 for 2. We had 0 turnovers, and they had 3. Like it's not that difficult. And guess what? We're going to not have great numbers this year. I know we had the least amount of yards in the NFL on offense. I don't care. I don't care as long as our defense keeps throwing up. You know, they gave up the 3rd least amount in the league this week. This is what we are, and I love it. I love it. Let's add a weapon. I want a weapon on offense. I'm just not a Dontrell Inman guy. It's his 9th team in 10 years. He's a fill-in. That's the only starting spot that I look at, and I don't see hope for the future or production presently. And
we've had a million Dontrell Inmans on this roster.
It would have been Harmon, right? It would have been Harmon.
Yes, sir, T. And it could be Allen Robinson. We'll see what happens. But
you think?
I don't know if he's available, and I don't know if we'd take him, but he led the league in contested catches, and Haskins is a tight window guy.
Yeah.
Seems like they'd mesh. I don't know. A lot of money, though.
Yeah, a lot of money. I love Allen Robinson. He's had some injury issues. Still haven't had a chance to see Liberty get out there and do his thing. And I don't know if he can do it.
But he didn't get in the mix.
He didn't get in the mix.
I mean, his song was playing, but he wasn't dancing with nobody.
So let's talk a little bit about where we're going, okay? So after being, crazy underdogs in week 1, we were not
We're worse underdogs this week.
We're worse underdogs this week. On the road in Arizona, we're 7-point road dogs out west. The prospect of going against Kyler Murray is different. He's not going to stand there the way that Carson Wentz did, and I think that we have the horses to play against that, but you can't expect to just keep him in check all day long. Kyler Murray's too good, and he's got DeAndre Hopkins. Those two guys, the Eagles didn't have any guys like those two. They didn't have Kyler Murray or DeAndre Hopkins. So that's a tall order.
Now, and that's
Go
ahead, T. Go ahead.
You automatically get 3 points for being a home team, right? On a spread when you're setting it. Mm-hmm. The default is 3 points for a home team. How many points for a team that has to go all the way across the country? Is that another 3 points? So really, are they only favored by 1?
I like the way you think.
I like that you're just slicing and dicing over there.
Yeah.
Vegas style.
Doing a lot of math.
I don't care. I could give a shit. I could give a shit what the spread is. As long as they play like they did, I almost don't care what the score is. If they play like that again, that's something to be proud of, to be a Washington football team fan. And that's a team and a type of play that is ultimately going to be a winning team and a winning organization. Go out there and play your ass off. Beat the shit out of the Cardinals, and you'll see what the score is at the end. I do worry about all the way across the country. I really think that's a big deal.
Hell yeah, it is. No home crowd there will help a little bit, but that flight itself, the travel, T's right, that's tough. And watching film this week, that San Fran D line is proven to be elite. And Kyler Murray, I believe, had 13 rushes. I think he was tackled 1 time. He either scored, slid, or ran out of bounds the other 12, from what I understand. And if he's elusive with that group, he's going to be just as elusive with this group. Yep. Now, I like to think that Montez and Chase Young have that 6'6", that reach. You know, those strong hands and that reach is going to really come in. Because when you reach out and grab Carson Wentz by the top of the shoulder pad, that strong big boy just kind of shrugs it off. That North Dakota wind was worse to him. Kyler Murray, if you can get hands on him in the pocket, and it's not going to be Montez as the spy, but I believe we will have, maybe you bring a Kaliki Hudson in at a certain time.
Kaliki makes a lot of sense.
It's going to have to be a freak. If we're going to run a spy situation in certain situations, it's going to have to be a freak, because why have a spy that doesn't matter? You might as well rush him if it's a big boy.
It only takes one good hit to make a quarterback think twice about how he's going to play the next play. If they can get a hit on him early, one play where they can kind of put a little bit of fear of God into him, it'll change the way he plays, for sure. I know he's a confident player. I know he's quick and fast. It only takes one. Like you were talking about, that one hit that Sweat had on Carson Wentz, you don't think that kind of stuck with him till today?
No doubt.
Oh, he's feeling that right this very second.
He got in a boxing ring with 5 heavyweights,
Yep.
and he lost. I mean, that's just what happened. I felt like he was tough as nails. You know, a buddy of mine texted me from Philly. I said, "Yo, leave Wentz alone, man. He got hit 20 times. He competed. He's a beast. Without Wentz, you didn't have a chance. No chance." Kyler Murray is the deal, but I do believe that our offense has got to run the ball. There's no Fletcher Cox up the middle this week. This is our chance for Scott Turner to show off Antonio Gibson a little bit.
Yep.
You know, his one run last week, he got loose. He got so excited, and he's so full of speed and vigor, he ran right into Terry McLaurin's back in the open field. You know, the next year or so, after he learns from that in the films and understands that he's a rookie, he's either going to put a foot in the dirt, cut it back, take it to the outside, or do something different.
Yep.
Learn a little bit of pace. You don't have to accelerate into the coast before you burst, and I say that as if I've ever coast bursted. I've only done that to 7-Eleven or get to McDonald's drive-thru before it was 24 hours.
If you equate it to drinking, then I totally understand. You're great at it.
The coast and the burst.
Coast and then the burst.
Exactly, T. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
T, what was the best thing you saw on NFL Sunday not related to our game?
Best thing I saw on NFL Sunday not related to our game?
Yeah. Elsewhere in the league. Anything that happened anywhere else across all the games.
I mean, would it be too simple to say football was happening?
Yes.
How big of a treat was this past weekend? You know, we got a little bit of teaser high school games, you know, a couple of weeks before, but almost felt like a full slate of football, college games on Saturday. The full gamut on Sunday with NFL, it almost felt normal.
There should be 2 Monday night games every week. I'm so. If you're only going to give us 3 4:00 games, which is what all you really get anymore, and then the Sunday night game, give us the two Monday night games.
Why not?
It doesn't make any sense not to at this point, especially now.
Listen. Monday night, I was so excited to get home by 7. To make sure that first one was in. And you can DVR both of them, watch some Netflix, fly through them, because I did a little weird project at home. The first half of the Redskins-Eagles game, 57 commercials before play started in the third quarter.
That's ridiculous.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I believe it was 37 minutes of real time and 20-something plus the halftime. It was the ratio of football to commercial is bizarre, and there's a reason why our nation is super chunky. Name a fast food, they all had an advertisement in the first. Name a fast food in this country locally that we know, not Jack in the Box or something.
Yeah.
There was one of those commercials for everything, so they've got to figure that out. But you know what? They got to pay their bills.
What was the one for you? What was the best thing you saw in the league?
Well, real quick, Ken.
Okay,
specifically, it was Dallas losing.
That's what Rhett said. Rhett said the best thing he saw was Dallas looking like ass.
I'm going to say
James liked seeing Brady get his ass kicked. Greg wants no Monday Night Football games. What's wrong with you?
Maybe he's in a bowling league.
Are you in a bowling league, Greg, on Monday nights? Is it interfering with your schedule? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Beers at the local pub on Monday.
And he's a gambler. What's that, T?
His wife has the clicker on Monday night.
Maybe. I mean, he's the kind of guy who's looking to make up for losses on Sunday on that Monday night game. What do you got, Kevin?
There's no yard work done and you watch football.
Ken, I was on such a high from the Redskins. You know, everything else was a little fantasy related, and I'm going to say what got me super excited was the matchup between Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Yes.
And they flashed those numbers up there, and you just think about all the joy that they've given us for so long. You know, combined, I think it's close to 40 years total of just perfect quarterbacking. And I know the game wasn't perfect, and I didn't mind seeing Tom Brady get knocked around a little. That's what he does. He'll figure it out. Everyone thinks he's supposed to win every time, and there's a ton of pressure. So I'm not saying the game, but watching them pregame and thinking, these are two of the greatest people, and they've done so much for their communities, and they're just givers, and they're studs, and that got me really excited that football was back after my Redskins won. I think just seeing that intro and getting ready for that 425 start, and just respecting the fact that those two dinosaurs are still out there getting it done. And you know what? They're really close to all of us in age. And my wife was like, that'd be like you out there playing. I was like, you pipe down.
Yeah, it pretty much would be.
Then I was like, it kind of is. Like,
without a doubt.
These guys are like, they'd be in high school with us. Like,
even in a perfect world, we'd all be retired.
Yeah. Sure. Right. I agree. Yeah, they've taken enough hits. They've thrown enough touchdowns. They've both won Super Bowls. Like, they're just out there because that's just how they're wired, and I certainly respect that. Their teammates would run through a brick wall for them, and they're still out there doing it. That's what gets me a little pumped up, man.
Anybody who thinks that Tom Brady isn't going to work out the kinks and have everything on, firing on all cylinders by week 4, and the media fawning over him again, and Arians saying all these wonderful things in his press conference about Tom Brady, then as opposed to maybe saying he didn't play very well, which everybody seems to be just running with right now as a story. They're crazy. He's got to figure this out. The GOAT. He's got to figure it out, guys. Okay? He's got to be fine. He's got to be fine. He's going to be the best quarterback in the league by week 4. By week 4.
Tom Brady went Max Scherzer week 1. It was the first inning.
Yeah.
He was so jacked up.
Oh, yeah.
I think he might have been as jacked up for that as any Super Bowl he'd ever walked in, because that was second nature to him. This is different. This is a whole new ball game. He wanted to prove it to everyone. He's screaming at refs. He's screaming at teammates. He's screaming at himself. I love watching the madness. He's a madman. I mean, it's just how he's wired. I love it. But he will settle his ass down and figure everything out. But it's like Scherzer giving up a home run in the first, down 2, and then no one gets a hit for 7 innings. I would not want to be going up against him in week 2.
He's going to be just fine. I'll tell you, since you asked, I'm a believer in Drew Lock. I think the Drew Lock Jerry Jeudy combo, I think, is going to be a special one, and I'll be interested to see where that goes this season. I was eyeballing that game because I knew we were going to get it. I knew it was going to be the last game of the week on national, television, only show in town. Denver has a way to go. They're an easy team to like. I grew up loving John Elway and loving watching the Broncos. Obviously, we beat their ass in the Super Bowl, so I got no reason to hate on Denver. But I think Drew Lock is interesting and potentially special. And giving him a Jerry Jeudy when he already has a Cortland Sutton and tight ends out the what. I think him and Jerry Jeudy have a chance to put something really special together over the next 5-6 years.
And Ken, I think the next 5-6 years is exactly right, because right now they spend the most on D and the least on O.
Yep.
And as this transpires, you understand he's going to get more weapons on the offensive line. Maybe a big old tight end. Who knows? But you're right. That's exciting. And Drew Lock seems like a pretty cool guy to root for. Live arm. He's out there singing on the side. He just feels it and loves it. And I like his passion for football and being on a football field. And he has got a howitzer. There's no doubt about it.
And he has the John Elway stamp of approval. Now, I don't think John Elway has very many places to go.
Paxton Lynch.
He's stamped a lot of things.
Say it. He triple stamped and double stamped.
Triple stamped quite a few double stamps.
I know you wanted to say that. I said it first.
Yeah. All right. So Redskins, Washington football team on the road. By the way, how many times did announcers get that wrong? I know there was at least a few, maybe to a handful of times.
I wasn't counting because it's just
it happened.
I never would.
I mean, I still call hot dogs glizzies. I just can't get myself to just say hot dog anymore. Are you a glizzy guy or?
I'm not a glizzy guy.
Are you familiar with the term glizzy?
From you?
Yeah.
Never heard it in my life. Does that make me get off the phone?
No, but you have young daughters, man. Tell them to get you hip to the game. This is a DC thing. The term glizzy started right here, right in town. And it's just a nickname for a sausage or a hot dog or anything that you would eat in a bun, or in Ken's case, without a bun. Like however you like to
Bunless.
I couldn't decide who to say it. The last second I went Ken. It was a 50-50.
Bunless.
Right. Well, T is on that keto, so maybe you're eating them bunless glizzies, Strachan. But hey, research it.
Kid thought I've never eaten a bunless glizzy. No.
Well, I got plans for you this weekend. That did not sound good.
I don't even know what
dinner plan.
I have to rate this show. This was a PG-13. Now we're moving like 3 levels to like NC-17 at this point.
Come on, guys. It's a glizzy.
It's a glizzy. All right. Take his word for it. It's something you eat. I promise.
It's no Cleveland steamer, that's for sure.
It's not a Cleveland steamer, that's for sure. That is correct, T.
I no longer want to eat a glizzy when I get home.
Well, let's call it a night by starting with T. Give me a score prediction and why the Washington football team wins.
Score prediction. I say 31-24 Skins. D does what they normally have done, although just a week ago. But they do what we expect them to do. I think the offense comes out with two X-factor plays. That's 2 plays over 40 yards that are a huge factor in the game.
All right. Kevin?
27-23, Washington football team Glizzies. I have this feeling about these guys being in a tight game, and every game's going to be a tight game unless we're getting rolled on by a team that obviously we're not ready to play against. I don't think Arizona's that team. I'm scared to death of DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray, but it ain't like old Del Rio and Rivera haven't seen this type of athleticism before, and the game plan will be legit. I feel like we're going to get a couple early ones, guys. It's going to keep us rolling, and I know T's right going out west, and you're right about the Kyler-DeAndre combo. I'm feeling it, and I'm not going to back down off of it. 27-23. Good guys.
All right, I'll go 28-20 because I think we're in that same ballpark. I think we end with the victory formation. I got a defensive touchdown. I'm joined in that prediction. I think Rob Cohen likes it as well. Unless DeAndre Hopkins can block Chase Young or Montez Sweat, he's going to have a long – I mean, Kyler Murray can't see over those guys like Carson could, first and foremost. So he has to move right away anyway. So if you can get him going the way you want him to get going, you put him in the direction where you got your extra guy, DeAndre Hopkins shouldn't be able to beat as deep.
He's going to get 10 for 150. Let's not let him get 11 for 210 and a teeter. Because he's capable of just doing whatever he wants.
Well, he's done it against us before when he was in Houston.
But the whole offense is going to be geared. Now, they have some weapons around here now. We know that. But I think the length at defensive end is going to help. I do. But the 49ers, I was a little surprised by that. But you know what? This is the league, and everything happens week by week. I love the matchup. For us, winning one game and not knowing who the hell we are, I'm not scared at all about Arizona.
Nope.
I am scared of DeAndre Hopkins. He can take a game over, but like one of those big old decleaters on the youngster at quarterback, who someone said today, you all wanted him playing double-A ball in Topeka, Kansas for the next 3 years. Meanwhile, he's out there just styling it up and beating the reigning NFC champs week 1. The guy's special. We're going to see some special, but he's going to see some special too. So,
you heard it here first. Washington football team out of the gate 2-0 after a road game against the Arizona Cardinals. By the way, I've made that flight in the last 5 years. In the last 10 years, I've made that exact flight no less than 25 times. I've stayed in the hotel right down the street from the stadium every single time. It is a breeze. It is a breeze. It's an easy trip. It's a easy flight. This isn't like a flight to Seattle.
A desert breeze?
It's like a desert breeze.
An oasis.
It is an absolute joy. Yeah. And again, nobody else there except for you and the other team, I think is a big deal because that stadium, it's an indoor, air conditioned stadium. It's like a practice. I mean, with nobody in there, it's going to feel like a practice field. And so I like our chances. We will be back again on Tuesday night to discuss how it was that Washington made it to 2-0, why they did in fact win. We'll talk about the terribleness around the NFC East. We'll cover the Eagles, I think the Eagles are playing the McVay-led Rams this week. And I could
Aaron Donald, have a day, buddy.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Aaron Donald getting his hands on Carson Wentz after what we just did. Forget about it. Let's see, who does Dallas have? The Cowboys are, well, of course, everything's going to freeze right when I want it to come. All right, here we go. New York Giants or go to Chicago. Chicago hasn't been that. It's not impressing me too much.
Trubisky had 3 teeters,
I know.
no picks, and had a win.
Yeah.
Mitchell.
And Dallas is
Son of a
hosting
bitch.
the air raid offense for the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan's 18 billion yards of passing. He had like 3 receivers over 100.
Julio is a cowboy killer.
Yeah, he is. He sure is. All right, well, I'll tell you what, guys. Come back. Give us a subscribe. Hit, if you don't mind, smash that subscribe button. We appreciate it. It's free. You get notifications every time we go live with a show. Until next week, he's Tim Strachan.
Happy Victory Tuesday to everybody. Hopefully we're talking about another Victory Tuesday next week. I want to give a shout out to our friend of the show, good friend of ours, Lulu Warner. Lulu, thank you for the birthday card. Lulu sends out daily reminders for anybody's major events in their life. And she also sends a card, an actual Hallmark card in the mail to every person she knows for their birthday and their anniversary. Lulu, you're the best. Thank you so much. Thanks for the picture of Denny with his T13 hat. I got my T13 hat on. Thank you. God rest in peace, Denny. We miss you. We miss him a lot, Lulu, but we love having you listening to us every Tuesday. I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.
Well,
That's
awesome.
a special thing. She's a special lady.
He's Kevin Ricca.
And I just had to say this. I didn't say it all show. The highlight of my whole entire weekend was the Redskins when the Philadelphia fan base felt the young pain that they're going to feel from our D-line for the next 5 years.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was Chase Young and Deron Payne sacking Carson Wentz. Ryan Kerrigan picks it up, fakes it like he's going to pitch back, and at that point, the game was over. It was the 8th sack, and I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, my goosebumps, the whole 9, but that young pain is going to be felt moving forward for a lot of franchises, not just you guys up north. And I love talking about it on Tuesday down in this basement. Thanks for listening in, guys. Appreciate everyone on the board.
On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was, thank God it's Tuesday, and we are still live.
Timmy.